Please help me up with fan. Can you help me up with fan? Sorry. And welcome to another wonderful day of mathematics. Today we're going to be looking at a couple of topics in our quest to move fast and cover the syllables for mathematics. So we're going to be looking at percentage error, we're going to be looking at simple interest, and we're going to be moving further into ratios and other aspects of mathematics that would interest you. So hardly do we take any measurements and get the exact result. The results often got are inaccurate. The importance being stressed here is not the slight error made in the measurement, but to decide the degree of such error. Now, this degree or level of error, always measured in percentage, will then guide any decision maker on the acceptable level of the error. The error that may be made in any measurement could either be positive or negative. Example, the actual length of a rope is 15.6 meters. If the rope is measured by 16.9 meters. Now, before we move to the next slide, I want to make sure that this first slide is understood. Oluwaseyi, just looking at this statement that the actual length of the rope is 15.6 meters, and two boys from your class measured this rope. One got 13.4 and the other one got 16.9. Can you tell me the errors in their measurements and which person is having a positive error and which person is having negative error? Luase, are you there? Are you looking at the board?
Yes, sir. The first person is having 2.2 and it's positive.
Okay.
And the second person is having minus 1.3.
Okay, you got it by minusing the these from either of them also, Abby?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let's look at it now. The first boy's error is 15.6 minus 13.4, which is what they got. So you must either you're subtracting from or you're subtracting 15.6 from or you're subtracting them from 15.6. So in this case, you have 2.2, that's the difference. So the difference, that is the error. Here you have 16.9 minus this, that is the error. Then whether the error is against, as in the first boy, so for this one, the error is against, or in favor, as this one, for this one, the error is in favor in calculating, therefore the formula is so. This is the formula for percentage error. the error, absolute error. Absolute error simply means over the actual value times 100 over 1. Luase, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Sorry, my network had issue. So, like in this calculation, like I said, make sure that it's always a positive value that you have here. So always subtract the smaller one from the bigger one times 100 over 1 all over the actual. And we know that the actual value is 15.6. So with this, you can know their percentage error. So this percentage error, like I said, it could be for or against, but that does not really matter much. The one you subtract from, because the value you must have here must be a positive value. Okay, so let's move forward with an example. A rope of length 15 cm was measured by a girl to be 14.4 cm. You see? So when you say percentage error, you're looking at the error. That means the person is not measuring accurately. Just imagine something of 50 cm. Somebody measured it and said it's 14.6 cm. And this could be a problem with the measuring instrument or what, you understand? To find the percentage error, what you must do is that the bigger value, which is 15, minus the smaller value, which is 14.4, gives you error. So that error all over the actual length times 100 over 1 gives you the percentage error, in this case, 4%. Oluwase, these calculations, are they clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let's move forward. Having ascertained, now we know how to do this calculation. A sack which weighs 60.5 kg is recorded to weigh 62.65. See, there is a plus in this one. Instead of 60, it's measuring 62. But still, when you want to do the calculation, you must say the bigger one, which is 62.65 minus 60.5. So find the percentage error. So actual error is equal to 62.65 minus 60.5, which is 2.15. So actual error all over actual length. Actual length is what? 60.5. So make sure you know the actual length, because that is the denominator. The denominator must be the actual length. So the error over the actual length times 100 over 1 gives you the percentage error. Oluwase, are we clear on this?
Yes, sir.
Chika, can you understand this? You are doing
Yes,
percentage error.
Okay, sir.
Chika, are you there?
Yes, I understand this.
You understand it, but so like what we are stressing on is that the bigger measurement must be the one subtracting the smaller one, whether it went bigger or is increasing or decreasing, so that you can have a positive error. So that error all over the actual length or the actual width times 100 over 1 gives us the percentage error. Okay, so that is what we've been doing so far for those of us that just joined now. So percentage error is simply the error which you get from the bigger minus the smaller all over the actual measurement, which is actual length or actual height or actual weight times 100 over 1. So let's move forward. Yeah, thank you. Let's move forward to the next topic for the day, which is simple interest. Interesting, because simple interest come out every year. You're gonna see questions from simple interest, and it is very important. It is important that you know how to solve problems from simple interest, because they're always gonna come out. And in banks, when you take loan, you have things like that being calculated and put in. So you need to be knowledgeable in simple interest for future businesses. Okay, now when money is borrowed, when you borrow somebody money or you lend, when you give money out, you call it lending. But when you are taking from somebody to pay back later, you call it borrowing. When you're giving somebody money to give you back later, you call it lending. So take note of these two words. So when money is borrowed or lend, the lender expects to receive a charge from the borrower in compensation. So that charge that you collect from the borrower in compensation, the charge that the lender collects from the borrower in compensation of the borrowed amount is what we call interest. So the compensation is generally called interest. The original length, the original length, that money that you give gives you 510,000. So that 500,000 that you gave him, that original amount is known as the principal. Whereas that 10,000 he added on top is known as the interest. Okay. The period, either in years, months, or weeks, for which the money borrowed is used by the borrower is called time. So time in the percentage simple interest calculation is simply the period that the borrower used the money. And this period could be in years, it could be in months, and it could be in weeks. Now, why the amount of compensation is called interest, okay? In terms of certain percentage of amount lent out, is like, okay? Then we also have another parameter known as the rate, and it's simply the amount of compensation in terms of certain percentage of the amount lent out. So the interest in relation to the principal is called rate. Now, interest is usually fixed as at a rate percent per annum. So you normally fix it, the interest, at a given rate per annum. Under simple interest, the interest is normally repaid every year or any other period of time stipulated. Unlike compound interest, the interest is not added to the principal at the end of the period. Therefore, the principal remains same each year. So in simple interest, the principal remains the same each year. But in compound interest, the interest is added to the principal, making the principal a new amount every year. So the interest changes every year for compound interest. But for simple interest, it remains constant. So generally speaking, if the principal P is lent or borrowed for time T years at the rate of R% per annum, therefore, the simple interest is derived by the formula. So let's look at the formula of simple interest. I is simply equal to the principal times the time, which is the period the money is used, times rate all over 100. Gives you the principal, the interest. So that is the formula for simple interest. You have to know this formula. You just have to know it because you're going to see very simple calculation. This is where you see very simple calculation. I know that you know that when you enter the JAMB in order to start answering and you're having mathematics, whether it's JAMB or WAEC, make sure that you go to the problems that are easier. Don't go and say you see sets or statistic that is very long, you go and be solving because it's number one. No. When you're solving OBD, you can even go and start from the last question. That is very easy, one hand. So you finish them up as you're solving up, you're building in your courage and your stamina and your ability to solve more maths problems. So the one you solve lesser, that is of lesser difficulty, gives you the ability to solve the more difficult one. So don't go start from behind. Anyone that is giving you issue, leave it. You can always come back and tackle it. So that's how you go about it. Not just English, not just mathematics. Even in English, some people go and spend a whole lot of time solving the what's it called? The first part of English is the comprehension passage. Don't waste your time there. Once you are given the English, just use your what's it called? Your mouse. Go to the last question where you can have simple vowel and consonant problem, emphatic stress. Tidy them up immediately. Then get back to your comprehension. Don't waste your time. If you're answering JAMB, you have to be very fast. You move. When you finish, you can come back to that subject again and sort it out before submitting. So move very fast. Move to the problems that are easier for you. Tackle them first, then before you can continue. Okay, so let's continue. Let's move forward. And we have by method of change of, okay, you can always use the change of subject or formula to make any of these above your formula. So if it is P, it becomes 100I over RT. If it is T, 100I over PR, R 100I over. So you can make any of the subject of formula in order to sort it out in your JAMB or WAEC. Okay. With these, simple interest problem could be solved by substituting the appropriate values into any of these formulas. So let's take an experiment of these and be able to understand it much better. Okay, here we have find the simple interest on a loan of 2,700 naira for 6.25 years at 3% per annum rate. So solution, we say I is always equal to PTR all over 100. So everything over 100. So you can sort them out. So you can see all of them P27, T 6.25, and R 3%. So all of them all over 100 multiply out, you're gonna get 506.25. So at this very rate of 3% per annum over 6 years, 2,700 is gonna give you an interest of 506.25. Okay. So if you're gonna be borrowing money from bank later, when you become an entrepreneur, you're supposed to know how these interests are calculated, so that when you're borrowing a given amount, you know the amount to give back. So let's say this person borrows this money for this. After these 6.25 years, he's returning 2,700 plus 506. Will be around 3,000 plus, you understand? So you should know the total amount you are returning back. So Chika, is it clear? Can we move forward? Chika, can you hear me? Is it clear? Can we move forward?
Yes, sir, it is clear.
Okay.
Yes, yes, sir.
So let's look
Yes,
at
sir.
another problem.
Forward.
Okay, let's look at another problem. The simple interest on a certain amount of money invested for 4 years at 6.5% per annum is 416. Find the amount invested. So here you're giving this simple interest as 416. Now you're told to find the amount, and I told us you simply make amount, which is the principal, make it the subject of the formula. So in that case, P becomes equals to 100 I over TR. So sort it out. 100 times 416 all over 4 times 6.5, giving us 1,600. So that is the principal. So the amount invested is the principal. Take note. Even if you don't hear principal, hear amount invested. Know that it means the same thing as the principal. Okay. So let's move forward. The amount, the addition of the principal and the interest for the period years is called the amount at the end of that time. Okay. So the amount invested is the principal, but the amount at the end of that time is known as the principal plus interest. So none of the formula above is suitable to calculate the amount. Okay. So find the principal which amounts to. So in this time around, they are asking you the principal that amounts to. So when you hear that, it means amount. The amount there means the principal plus the interest. So the amount to 2,736 in 3.5 years at 4% simple interest. So the amounts to here, this is not just the principal. This is the principal plus interest. So take note. Simple interest for 1 year is 4% of the principal. Then the simple interest for 3.5 years is 3.5 times 4%, giving us 14%. Amount will therefore be 100 plus 14% of the principal, which is equals to 114% of the principal. Hence, if 114% gave 276, principal will be 100%. Okay, 100% of x. So that x becomes 100 over 114 times 2736, giving us 24. Okay. So this is important that we know how to calculate the amount. And if you are not given the principal and you're given the amount, not the amount invested, but the amount after a period of time, that amount after a period of time is simply the principal plus interest. So the best way to solve it is by establishing that if you are given the rate, so that rate is normally for year 1 year. So then the simple interest for 3.5 years is going to be the rate times the number of years, which is making it this 40. So the amount after that certain time will be 100 plus anything that you have here, making it 114. So if 114 gave 2736, 100% will give what? So anything 100% give is the principal. So take note. So that is how to sort out this case if you have this case, which actually rarely occurs. They don't normally. So let's move forward to profit and loss percent. Profit and loss percent. Very important. Profit and loss percent. Gain or loss is associated with trading. So if you're buying and selling commerce, you're doing commerce, you're buying and selling. Sometimes you make loss, sometimes you make profit. A gain will occur when the selling price is more than the cost of an article. So when you buy something 14 naira and you sell 15 naira, you're always making gain. Why a loss occurs when the selling price is less than the cost price. So if you buy something 14 naira and you go and sell 13 naira, then you are lost. You're in loss. The calculation of percentage loss or loss is very simple. The formula is simply if it is percentage loss, it is the selling price minus the cost price. If it is percentage gain, it is the selling price minus the cost price all over the cost price times 100. Or if it is percentage loss, it is the cost price minus the selling price all over the cost price times 100 over 1. So you remember that the denominator is always the cost price. For beta is percentage gain or loss. Where CP is cost price and SP is selling price. Okay. So let's look at some simple examples. For selling an article of 756, a woman made a profit of 26%. What should be the selling price to make a profit of 34%? So selling price percent minus is equal to cost price percent plus profit percent. So always know that selling price percent is always equal to cost price percent plus profit percent. So selling price percent here is 126, which is equal to cost price percent, which is 100 plus profit percent, which is 26. So then 126 of cost price is equal to 756. So therefore, 134% of cost price should be 756 all over 126 times 134. Okay. So you can see that the way this is sorted out is very similar to what we had in the amount. So whenever they are talking about percentages, we need to be very careful in how we do our calculation in order to get the right thing. Okay. Percentage error. This is what we looked at before. Okay, I think this is where we're going to be stopping. In subsequent class, we're going to be looking at ratio, proportion, and rate. And from there, we can move forward. Okay, so that's where we're going to be stopping. And going to be giving us some assignments. Okay. So Luashe, I'm gonna give you guys some assignments now. So assignment number 1 is gonna be find the simple interest. You're gonna submit in the group chat, WhatsApp group chat on a loan of 3,500 naira for a period of 2.5 years at 6% per annum. So that's the question. Then question number 2. Question number 2. Question number 2. Find the time to make an interest of 210 on a principal of 500 on the principal of 5,000 at the rate of 2.5 2.5% per annum. Okay. So those are the two. Finally, define simple interest and state the formula and make each parameter the formula for simple interest. Okay, so those are the assignments, and please, I want you to do it on your notebook, snap it, and send it up in the group chat. Okay, yeah, I think that will be it. Thank you. See you when I see you.
Thank you, sir.
Chick, are we okay?
Yes, sir.
It's simple, huh?
Yes, sir, it is.
Thank you. Oluwaseyi, are we okay? Is it simple? The assignments, are they simple?
That's simple, sir.
Okay, so use them and warm up your brain. Okay, fourthly, I'm going to ask another one on percentage error. Calculate the percentage error for a student that measures his brother's. Yeah, come. I'm almost done. Sit down. That measures her brother's height as 45 centimeter instead of 47 centimeter. Okay, so that is the last question. Calculate the percentage error for a student that measured his brother's height as 45 centimeters instead of 47 centimeters. Okay, so those are the assignments, and I'm going to expect to get them within for the 5 minutes on the group chart. Thank you. Okay. Chika, it's like your network had issue. Number 4. Chika, it's like your network had issue and you just joined back.
Yes, sir, it is.
This is the assignment. I just added question number 4.
Okay.
Calculate the percentage error. A student that measures his brother's height as 45 cm instead of 47 cm. So thank you. See you when I